What's going on, college football fans? What's going on to all of my Colorado fans, my bandwagon buffs who are still out there? What's up with you? Happy Saturday, guys. It's the afternoon on Saturday. I am coming to you on a pop-up live to talk to you about the changing course of college football. I want to talk to you about the history of the sport, history making event that's happening in the sport. I want to talk to you about that and some of the changes that are going on, a little bit about the draft, and some things that I haven't been able to talk about because I've been on a hiatus for a little bit. But I want to talk about some of those things today in this here live. And if you will join me, I do appreciate it, guys. Welcome to the channel. If you are new around here, please smash that subscribe button, guys. I appreciate that. Hit the like button to let the algorithm do the shimmy, that things that it does. And it's like, oh, shoot, Harry B is back on. Guess what? TLP Sports Club is back on, and I want you to watch it. So that's what YouTube does. It sends the video to other people so that they can watch it and share this experience with you. If you are going to be participating in the live while it's going on, or you're watching this in the post, the repost, and or the rebroadcast, you can please comment on the whatever something pricks your ear and you're like, you know what you're saying over there, I either agree to what you're saying or I disagree. Go ahead and participate in the comments. I will appreciate it because all of that helps the algorithm to send out the notifications that, hey man, something's going on over there at TLP Sports Club. And if you are, you're not familiar with what's going on around here, I've been posting, even though I haven't been on video, I've been posting in the community tab or the post tab as YouTube currently has it. So the conversation has never stopped. It's been going on over there at the post or I like when they used to call it the communities tab, that at least had some type of ring to it. So the communities tab is where I'm still communicating with you. I'm posting different things so that we can, continue the conversation, the sports conversation on this here channel. So thank you for joining me today. I do appreciate it, guys. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about. Let's just jump in right now and talk about what Coach Prime is doing. And if you've noticed, guys, the hat's coming off. Okay, no more hats. My wife said I'm hiding behind my hat. So the hat's off. That's not the reason why I did it. No more hats, okay? Whether I'm bald-headed or I got this gray hair set of hair, all right? The hat's coming off. This is the new look TLP. We're working on it. We're under construction, okay? TLP Sports Club is under construction. There's going to be a lot of things that's coming in the future, all right, that I got planned for y'all. And we're going to have a lot of fun on this here channel. I do appreciate those who are still who are still around here, who are still rocking with the kid. I appreciate you, even though I'm not a kid anymore. I just had a birthday yesterday, and I got a lot older. Lord Jesus. Whew. Anyways, let's go. So, a lot of you know that Coach Prime is infusing something into college football that the NFL has had for a while, like preseason, when teams join together and they have a joint practice, and then the preseason, within the preseason you get teams play each other, right, in the preseason games. So Coach Prime is trying to bring that to college football. Coach Prime, hate him, love him or hate him, he's very innovative. He comes up with new things. He's thinking on his feet. That's what he does. That's the type of person that he is. He thinks on his feet, and he's not afraid to share what he's thinking. Sometimes it may come off, sometimes people may not like it. Sometimes when he comes up with a new idea, you're like, that might work. And so this new idea that Coach Prime has about the joint practices and then the spring game. Let me set this up for a lot of people who may not know, okay, who may not understand what's going on with that. I know a lot of y'all here around here are college football fans, and you do know what's going on, but I would be remiss to kind of leave my people who don't, frequent college football, who are around here. I'll be remiss not to kind of let them into our world, because if you've been around here for a few years, you kind of understand what's going on, whether it's from Well Off or Coach Prime's people, or you're from a different team. But anyway, college football has a spring game, and a lot of coaches are not feeling the whole idea of the spring game. One of the more notable coaches is the Matt Rule from Nebraska. Nebraska's coach Matt Rule is like, I want to get rid of this whole idea of the spring game. I believe he's one of the coaches that have shared the sentiment that the spring game kind of gives away too much, and guys may, get hurt. There may be injuries and stuff like that, and it doesn't really serve anyone because you're not necessarily doing anything that's going to advance your team. You're playing against yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's like your spring game is against yourself. You got defense, you got offense. So the defense and the offense play, and then that kind of gives the audience, the people that are out there, the football fans. We've been in this drought, which is called the non-off season, but the off season, and spring football gives us, it kind of holds us over, right? But some coaches are like, man, look, we don't want this. This is not really, it ain't that great for the sport. Who cares? It doesn't really do much for us. We don't want to expose any of our plays for guys to get ready. You know what I'm saying? So that's the whole idea. So Coach Prime, with his vast knowledge and the type of guy that he is, Coach Prime is like, look, man, why don't we do this thing like the NFL? Why don't we set this up? Because we're not. If you pay attention, NIL, the transfer portal, that's the NFL model, but it's just the amateur model for the NFL. It's like the G League, because if you think about it, free agency is the transfer portal, right? NIL is contracts. So this is professional. I don't know how else, how would you interpret that? If you have the transfer portal, then guys can go in and out given the window that they have. Keith, what's up? Keith Tunstall, once again, Coach Prime is disturbing the peace in college football. Salute to that. What's up, Keith? Thanks for joining me. So if you think about it, the transfer portal, guys can go in and out of the transfer portal given the window that they have, and they can declare their free agency. That the same thing is in the NFL. So we got the NFL model already. So why don't we just make this thing all the way what it is? The spring game, instead of us playing against ourselves, why don't we invite other teams to play? I like this idea for several reasons. I haven't come on the platform to really form my ideas, to really put this all the way out there. I like it for several reasons, and then we can explore some of the reasons why it may not be a good idea. All right, and those reasons are obvious, but we'll go over it in a second. So some of the reasons why I like it is like this. You give an opportunity. Okay, so what I would do first, it'll be scheduled. I would schedule the games or the practices against like Power 4 conference teams that I would not play at all. I would not see at all. The Alabamas, the Georgias, like the SEC teams or the Big Ten teams. If you were in the Big 12, and if you are SEC, you would do the same. You would try to schedule games that, you know what I'm saying, just gotta get a feel of what's out there. Because the one thing that we realized this off season, or the one thing that we realized during championship week, it was like there was an uneasy feeling, like you just kind of like had that separation. You kind of knew who was going to make it, and it was just like, it was weird. It was either the SEC or the Big Ten. Everybody else was like, they're just there for consolation. So if we're talking about this whole idea of the NFL model that Coach Prime is actually introducing, then what I want to happen is I want to play teams, if we're in the Big 12, because Colorado is in the Big 12, or you got other teams in college football that they don't get to play, other conferences that don't get to see other teams. So you don't want to get a surprise when you get to play a Boise State, right? Like if you are Oregon and you get to play a Boise State, there's no surprise there. You kind of want to see what type of talent is out there. Because, yeah, you might get an Ashton Genty that everybody's been watching and talking about, but until you get on the field and actually play him, You don't really know. It's just like, oh, okay, he's doing his thing over there. He's far over there. So, hey, college football. So what's the news? The news is that it's already been set up. Coach Prime and Syracuse, they've already filed petitions, or they've already filed paperwork for this to happen. So if that's the case, right, if they've already filed paperwork for this to happen, should we use them as a test, or should we just say open it up for college football to try this out and let's see what happens? Another part is, if college football adapts this is history. This is Coach Prime is making history once all over again. All right? Let's not forget. Let's not forget how many black coaches have become head coaches. All right? Like, I don't know if you've been paying attention or if you've been following my page. I've been posting every time I get news about another black coach, whether it's Eddie George or whoever is out there. How many black coaches are getting jobs as head coaches? Now, you can either associate it or liken it to the Dion Sanders effect or not. It doesn't matter. I'm just saying, it's happening. All right? There wasn't that many before, but, it's happening. So, Coach Prime stands to make history once again by infusing this. Now, there's a question for y'all. If we're successful with implementing joint practices, right, and playing other teams in the preseason, does this open the door for other things to happen? And what are those things that's going to happen? If the door opens up for joint practices, this is what it's going to look like. And there are the legalities and everything that comes with this. Question is, how does this work? Are they staying in the hotels? And who pays for that? How does it get paid for? Whose budget? Does it come from the team's budget? Is it a travel game? Such and such, right? The technicalities that come with this. Or the hosting school, the meals and stuff like that has to be, partaken of. Who's providing the meals? Is the host, if somebody's traveling to your school and you're the host, are you paying for their meals, their lodging, and all of that? Who pays for all of that? Right? And how does that work? Because you're in the off season. So budgets have to be there. There's a lot of moving parts that we have to consider. I think it's good for the sport. I'm interested in understanding the business side of it, because every team has you have a budget. This is not something that you previously planned inside of your budget, but it's something you now have to consider. And they're not just going to be there for, let me see, if it's the games, they had to get there a couple of days early. So I don't think that dynamic is changing much. So I don't think it's that much different. Because if you're going for a game, I think if it's a Saturday game, you either show up on Thursday for pre-practices, and then you practice on a Friday, get ready for the game you practice on Friday, get ready for the game on Saturday. So what the Syracuse coach suggested was they could be there for 3 days. So I don't think when it comes to that, much is changing in that light, right? So because if it was a regular game, you are there for a couple of days anyway. So, but all of those days, things have to go on. There are legalities. There are things there are moving parts that has to be considered. Food, lodging, security, a whole bunch of things. Who's responsible for that? I'm interested in understanding who is responsible when you travel. And now, how does it affect the teams that may not have a lot of money, right? Are they going to be able to participate? Because now you're going to have to either, I guess the budget would have to include one more game, sort of, right? Is it just one more game, or is it more than that, right? Because if your budget was, if you were already in deficient, right? Then how exactly do you plan for this? Because if you ain't got a lot of money, man, like just to travel alone, especially if you are not on a bus and you have to, like, think about it. Your equipment, when Colorado travels, I'm using Colorado because that's my team, and I'm a fan of Colorado. I don't have any other teams besides what is it, the Hoosiers, coach Coach Cincinnati, whatever their team is, Indiana. Okay, my new team. I'm gonna be following Indiana this year. So when you're going to a game, they send that truck with your equipment ahead, like a couple of maybe a week in advance, because you got to drive, right? You got to drive to California all the way from Boulder, or you got to drive to Texas or whatever. So you're taking that equipment and you're sending the truck ahead. So if you're not thinking about that, that's a lot of moving parts, and that's a lot of money that you got to spend. How much money would the school spend just to have all of that for practice, right? So now, boards have to think about, do we want to do all of that just for practice? We don't know, but it's good for the game. I think it's good for the game because from the fans' perspective, you get a lot of different looks, right? You get a lot of different, like you get to see a team, or your favorite school get to play a team, right, that you probably wouldn't have played in the regular season. Like I want to see a Georgia versus Colorado. I don't know if y'all picking up what I'm trying to put down. I want to see a Georgia versus Colorado, something that you wouldn't have seen otherwise. I want to see that happen. Like if it's preseason, let's go all the way out. Don't hold back. Let's take it all the way out. Let's play it. Even if it's a practice thing, I get it. It's a scrimmage or whatever, but let's scrimmage a team that we would have never played. You feel me? Like I definitely want to see a Colorado versus Georgia. I want to see like SEC versus Big Ten. I mean, not versus Big Ten. I want to see SEC versus Big 12 or SEC versus Mountain West. Like, well, I think that already happens. But yeah, I want to see the good, like the teams, like the playoff teams against like our teams, right? Whether you are a Big 12 fan or not, I'm default Big 12. All right, just so you guys know, I am default Big 12 because my first team is Colorado. The new look TLP Sports Club is going to be expanding and talking more about college football as a whole. We're going to be default Big 12, default Colorado, but now you're going to be getting a whole lot of content that comes from me, like the history of Baylor and stuff. I'm just going to be expanding a lot more. So I'm trying to, like I said, we're under construction. So yeah, I want to see that. Let's see what you guys are saying here. Takara Buff says, if Syracuse and Colorado happens on spring game, top 5 and 4 stars. Let me just put it up so everybody else can see. Let's take off this media tag. All right, if Syracuse and Colorado happens on spring game, top 5 and 4 stars recruiters will show up, especially Tristan Keys, the LSU commit. That's a good point. That's another point. So certain games or certain games that you would have not seen, certain matchups that you would have not seen, if they start to infuse this thing in college football, then it's like, certain people will visit these games, right? Media will be all over it. Certain teams, certain recruits will be coming, especially if they're local recruits. If they're in the area, games that they wouldn't have seen before or they wouldn't have visited, they now get to see. And another question that would come up: how serious would each team take this practice game? Can you imagine like the type of product that would start happening? Because while some of the consequences that I wanted to talk about later, but we can just kind of infuse it right now. While the idea of somebody getting hurt, don't go too hard because somebody may get hurt, while that would be in the back of your head, does a Georgia want to be, if a Georgia plays Colorado in the spring game, do they want to be shown up by Kaden Salter, by a Juju Lewis? Like, dude, I don't know who they would play, Would they play their second stringers to kind of give them some reps to get them up to speed, up to game speed? Would it be game speed? There's a lot of questions that have come out of this, right? Would it be game speed? Would coaches want to suggest themselves to game speed? Because at this point, then you're risking hurting your guys. But if somebody shows up and say, you know what, a smaller school or smaller market shows up and they're playing a bigger market, and they're like, hey, wait, you know what? Think about this. This is an opportunity for us to impress the board, right? So that when playoff time comes and we're one game shy of looking impressive, if we did well with the spring game with a bigger name, maybe the consideration would be a little higher. Maybe the talking heads, the voters, the pundits that have to vote on these things, make these decisions, maybe they will look at us in a different way. So it's a gray area. There's some gray areas there. All right, so Takara Buffs, thanks for that. I appreciate that. What else you're saying? Takara says Alabama versus Washington in spring game. That's a good idea as well. Keith said, let's see here. Keith, what you saying? Should make it regional, for example, Michigan State practice and scrimmage Western Michigan or Arkansas scrimmage and practice against Arkansas. Pine Bluff or Arkansas State. I think we should go further than that. I think we take it outside of that. Put no boundaries on the schedule if this becomes a thing. First of all, I think it should become a thing. I think college football would benefit from this in many ways. So if it becomes a thing, let's not put too many boundaries on it. All right. I forgot. I'm sorry, guys. I forgot that the part of the show is a call-in show. So here it is. Right there on your screen, you can join TLP live at gmail.com. I should say this in the beginning. Join TLP live at gmail.com. Email me. I send you the link. You come on here. And all of these questions that I'm tossing out, if you got the time, come on here. Let's talk about it live. All right, so join TLP live at gmail.com. Go ahead and write it down if you want to come on subsequent shows that we have. If you don't have the time today, you're doing chores or you're doing your spring cleaning and you ain't got time, you're just listening. I understand you may not be able to come on now or come on today, but again, we're going to be having different lives and at different times. So if you write down that email, join TLP live at gmail.com. It's just the regular words. And what I'm saying is T like Tango, L like Larry, P like Peter. So if my accent is swallowing certain letters, I apologize, but it's join TLP live at gmail.com. Write it down if you want to join the show. All right. I check the email and then I'll bring you on during the show. But yeah, so there's a lot of questions that comes with this. I appreciate the fact that Coach Prime is introducing this. All right. And again, I heard through the media that there's been a lot of thought that has been given to this. All right. So if this happened, don't put any boundaries on it. Let the scheduling happen. Let it not be regional. Because I'm tired of seeing I would say the smaller teams just play each other and then they cancel each other out. And then at the end of the season, then we start getting into playoff time. Then we see a lot of these teams like the Big 10 and the Big 12. I mean, the Big 10 and the SEC, we see them play. Now we see them playing, it's like, come on, like, we get it. What I want to be rewarded for yeah, let me just say it that way. I want to be rewarded for staying with all of these colors. Like I said, you know what I'm saying? Being new to college football as a year-round fan, right? I want to be rewarded for putting up with all of these colors. Have you seen a Saturday during the college football season? OMG, like, it's colors everywhere. Every team has their own colors, and I can't even keep up. You look on the top 25 chart, and I can't make out some of the logos. I don't even know if this is Tulane. You know what I'm saying? If this is Boise. It's a lot, okay? It's a lot, especially if you're new to college football and if you haven't learned everything, right? And that's why this is a segment where I can kind of segment off and let you know that TLP Sports Club is going to be transitioning a part of our transition is going to be educating people who are new to college football. So one part of the channel, a part of the channel is going to be like a historical, like a historian, right? Like I'll be presenting a lot of content to teach you about college football, to introduce you to different aspects of college football, whether it's a rule or it's just something about college football. And a lot of the old heads actually appreciate this because it's stuff that they either already knew or sometimes I present things that they didn't even know about college football. So yeah, so TLP Sports Club, in the construction process, there is going to be a historical part where I just teach you about certain things, certain aspects about college football, because I want the channel as a whole, as it's looking to be about college football. So I'm going to be presenting some historical information and a lot of things that is going to teach you about college football. So new people around here, you're going to learn. The old heads, you get to come on the channel and we talk about the sport that we love and the different aspects and all of the changes that is happening in the sport. So I'm trying to make it more fun and a place where you can come and just enjoy college football, especially if you enjoy college football. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to bring that experience over here. So anyways, but yeah, so open it up. No restrictions. Leave no restrictions for what they're trying to do. So I'm hoping that the letter or whatever the paperwork that they had to file to make this happen, I hope that happens. If it happens, that's like, okay, great. We're headed in the right direction. It's a lot of things because I don't think the NIL. Now let's just pivot a little bit more to. Let's just pivot now to the NIL. What's happening in NIL? Because college football has to figure this out. I don't know if you saw the last post that I posted a post where a 7-year guy is coming back. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, when does college football decide when enough is enough, or if there's an age gap, right? Because now you're getting grown NFL men just playing with college football guys, right? If you're 7 or 9 or 8, if you're 7, 8 or 9 or even 10 years in college, should there be a cap, right? I'm not talking about cap like it's lying, because now we have a whole new term, but should there be a cap on? Should there be an age gap or age cap for college players? Because a lot of guys are taking advantage of college football's NIL. So, and I think some guys that they either know that they're not going to be NFL players or they're not going to make a roster. So they're just like, look, if I'm not making a roster, but I'm still the guy in college, then let me just stay here a little longer, make my money, and then try the NFL. And if it doesn't work, I already got the money. So NIL is changing college football, or has changed college football to the point where it's almost unrecognizable anymore because guys are flipping all over the place. If you are an NFL fan like I am, you remember the good old days where for years you will follow your favorite players that developed with your team, and then eventually you enjoyed a Super Bowl year, right? Where your team started to click, started to gel, great things was happening, and you were just like, yeah, thank God, finally, this is our year. Okay, the one year you win 7 games, you're like, we're almost there. The next year you win 8 games, you're like, okay, I'm starting to feel it. Maybe the next year, the following year, maybe you take a break and something happened, somebody got injured, but then you knew that we was headed in the right direction. So like 5 years along, we're in our Super Bowl year. You know all the players. They've been there for a long time. You're like, Derek Green, Art Monk, Mark Rippon, da-da-da-da. You're like, yeah, you were so excited. You're so excited because you can name everybody on your team. In today's football landscape, every year is a new player. Oh, my gosh, I cannot keep up with all of this. This is way too much. NIL is doing that for college football. You know your guys. Let's think about what's happening to Colorado, my team, right? And I know everybody's not a Colorado fan, but let's just think about Colorado, my team. We just, if you look at it, right? Coach Prime brought in his Louis luggage, right? I don't even know if the Louis luggage is Louis anymore, but that's not the conversation for today. Okay, let's leave that conversation. Let's leave that conversation. Let's put that to the side for a second. But let's think about it. We brought in Cash Cleveland and we brought in Jordan Seaton. True freshman, right? We saw how Jordan Seaton did. We saw Cash Cleveland when he came into the middle of the season, and he did well. He was very vocal. He was a leader. You can tell right away. He was on the line, and he was telling guys, he was yelling at guys like, no, you do this, you do that. We was like, oh, shoot, these guys can play. And then year two, they don't jump into that transfer portal. They stick with us. So now we know Cash Cleveland, and we know Jordan Seaton, right? These guys, Jordan Seaton is your center, right? And not Jordan C. I'm sorry. Cash Cleveland is your center. Jordan Seaton is one of your guards or whatever, right? So you're like, oh, okay, they're coming back. What does that make you feel? How does that make you feel as a fan? You're like, you know these guys, if they play well in year number one, year number two, we know that they're going to get bigger because we have a whole new strength and conditioning staff. These guys are they're NFL minded, and they're going to come in here. They're going to beat these guys up, and they're going to give them new tricks and stuff that's going to help us out. So now you're feeling good about your team. Now you're like, thank God, here we are. So that feeling has been missing, right? Because it's every year. NIL is like every single year, new guys are coming. I know that a lot of y'all true college football fans, or a lot of y'all football fans, there is some type of feeling, and there's this luxury that we enjoyed as a fan because we sat back every year. We analyzed our guys. We saw their strengths and their weaknesses the year prior, and then we were able to make some type of assessment, and that afforded us the luxury to be able to say what we were going to do during the next season, right? We paid attention to other teams and, the talking heads that gave us information about other teams. And we was like, okay, they're making this change. Okay, we could do the job of the pundits, and we didn't have to lean so much on other people to tell us. But how do you do that when your team is changing every year? How exactly do you do that? Let me make sure that nobody's trying to come on here. Give me a second. Let me check the email real quick. All right, cool. We good. Right? How do you do that when you are seeing new guys every single day? Right? So for me, I just feel like a breath of fresh air that being new to college football, right? I'm not so new anymore because now I'm into my third year. So I got to thank God for that. I'm still learning though. I got to learn the game and I got to know it fully. I got to know all the coaches. I got to know all the conferences, the different letters, the code, the logos and the mascots. It's a lot, but I guarantee you I'm learning. Okay. I promise you I'm learning. I have two guys that I want to catch, two pundits, two talking heads. And I will tell you, I will reveal this. RJ Young from Fox Sports is one of them. All right. And the second person is between Josh Pate and someone else. But RJ Young, I'm coming after you. I'm not coming after you. I'm learning like you. So I got to learn that so my content can get better. All right. So that feeling that you had when you, as a fan, as a football fan, when you can grow with your guys because you knew their strengths. If you had the guards, you had the tackles, right? And your offensive line may not have been the greatest. You saw certain things. If you are into PFF grades and stuff like that, you look at their PFF grades, even though you saw it for yourself, and you're like, oh man, he just missed that block, right? One of my favorites, right? Tyler Brown. You're like, oh man, Tyler Brown did not have a great 2024. He sat out a year before. But you're seeing these guys and they're growing right in front of you. And you can make that assessment for yourself. So imagine these guys in their fourth year. You're almost going to feel like your championship year, like the story I told you earlier about the NFL. Their third or fourth year, you can almost predict that we're going to go deep into the playoffs, or there are changes that we need to make. It made the sport so much more enjoyable because when you can follow your guys, when you're keeping up with the sport, maybe life was lifing, and you put your head, you took your eyes off the sport for a second, and you had to go do something, and you came back maybe a couple of months later, you still were in the mix. All right. Today, if you take your eyes off of the sport, it's going to seem like you are missing years, which is weird. All right, because you're going to look up and you're going to see new names, new faces, knew everything. And you're going to be like, wait, why is this guy getting $10 million and he's a college football player? So which brings up a new question. Is it time for us to regulate NIL? I ain't saying they ain't regulated already. I'm just saying whatever regulations there are, it's not enough. It needs to be regulated. We're dealing with contracts. But for some odd reason, these contracts don't have the same rigor as the NFL contracts, like professionals, right? Because we're still dealing with the whole idea of student athletes. And there are rules and regulations that are guarding, the student athlete. So where do we go from here? Something needs to happen. But what is it that needs to happen so that it can be fair? Because the thing is, regulation almost always works against the players, right? So if you have a union, that safeguards the players, their union reps are going to always, more than likely, argue against more regulations. Because more regulations are going to, the only thing that regulations are going to do are just going to, it's like the people that are there for the regulation, what they're there for is to put a cap on the players. And it's like, wait a minute. What are you doing? We don't mind regulation, right? We don't want this to be like Doge. Here I go again. We want regulation, but we want it to be done in a sensible way that benefits everybody, to where the people that are the regulators are not celebrating the downfall of the players. Because for a long time, we did not have players getting paid. So now that players are getting paid, let's make sure that whatever regulations that we have, let's just make sure that it's fair on both sides, where the school gets the compensation that they need to be able to run the programs that they run. Because I know the players, most fans and players do not think about it from the school's perspective. They don't, all right? But enough is enough to where the schools are benefiting from everything, and the players are just sitting back, just playing, getting hurt. You know what I'm saying? You get hurt. You may or may not keep your scholarship after year number 2 if you're still hurt. It's like being hurt on the job. So you got to think about those things, right? My son right now is going to college, and we're getting scholarships and stuff like that, and we're like, okay, boom, 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 and we're telling him, look, you got to keep up your grades because you're getting scholarships based on your grades. So if you're going to go to college and play around, you lose the scholarship, we ain't got it yet. All right? We're going to have it, but we don't even know what God has in plan yet. We just say by the grace of God. That's what we have to say. Jeremiah says that. Jeremiah says, you fools, y'all better stop saying, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. You better say, if you haven't read your Bible this morning, let me just be the first one to give you some scripture. Okay? Jeremiah, all right, was it 33-3? But Jeremiah says, listen, you fools. All right? I don't think Jeremiah says you fools, but practically you're being a fool. Stop saying that you're going to do X, Y, and Z. You're going to have all this money. You're going to do all of these things. You don't even know if your life is going to be there tomorrow. All right? Make sure that you put it in there. By the grace of God, if this happens, then I'll be able to do this. But anyways, you get what I'm trying to say. So when it comes to this NIL game, we need regulations, but the regulations have to work for everyone. All right? Let there be clauses in there. The player gets hurt. Do they keep the NIL money? Do they keep all that money? They got to return some of the money. We don't know all of that. But what I'm saying is the game is changing. People are jumping, hopping, skippity, going everywhere. We don't know as fans what's happening because we know that something's coming. But at the end of the day, you can't keep up with everything. If there weren't channels like mine, some of the stuff that you'll be like, what the heck is going on? And people don't like to read, right? People don't, who wants to sit there and read a whole article? If you are a true fan, you keep up with the articles, but you want a video. You want somebody telling you about it. You want Harry B to come on here. Harry, read the article, break it down, summarize it for me. Let's talk about it. So that way I don't have to sit here and read it, okay? That's just how it works. What's up, fam? What's up, chat? The the Ashty mom. So you're moving away from CU football and the bandwagon Bucks BWB brand? No, I'm not. I'm how would I phrase it? I'm expanding per se, because I don't think I can ever move away from CU, but I have to expand. I've been saying that for like a whole year now, right? So I have to expand to make this thing work, because the niche is too nichey, right? Shirley Kimber, what's up with you, girl? Hope all is well. How your body feeling? I hope you're feeling good. I hope that body's good. And you know why I'm saying your body. I ain't trying to say it for any sexual reasons. I just hope you're feeling good, okay? People that don't know, I don't want them to take that the wrong way. So yeah, Ashley, mom, I'm not leaving CU content. I'm just gonna be doing less CU content and more college football. Okay, good, Shirley. I'm good. I'm glad you're good. Good. So yeah, so I'm gonna be expanding because you gotta grow. So okay. So now, Deion Sanders is trying to change college football. Not trying to change it, but he's making history all over again. We got NIL changing college football. Let's keep this email up just in case anybody wants to come on the show. If you want to come onto the show, guys, you want to discuss any of these things, you want to talk about it, join TLP Live at gmail.com. Let me put it up for a very short time. Join TLP Live is right there on your screen. Join TLP Live at gmail.com. You come on here, we discuss any of these things that you want to discuss. All right? That's how it goes. All right. So, moving parts in college football, a lot of things are moving. There's the commissioners are commissioning, right? Just like lifing. Commissioners are commissioning. In the near future, you're going to be getting a lot of changes in college football. I think we are moving to a super conference regime. Soon you're going to probably see that. Because I don't know if you've been paying attention or not, but there's an effort by the powers that be, ESPN or the big markets. There's an effort for them to change how things look. If you watched any of the playoffs, right? If you watch any of the championship month stuff, it was obvious that the Big Ten and the SEC were the dominant conferences, right? So here's the question. If you've seen the SEC, the Big Ten dominating, what is stopping anyone from just saying, well, these two conferences are obviously way more elite than the other conferences? There are 10 conferences if the Pac-12 comes back, right? There is the let me see if I can get this without looking at it, without looking at my notes. I've been studying. There's the AAC, right? And I believe the commissioner of the AAC, I believe, is Mike Resco. Okay, I'm gonna try to do this without looking at my notes. All right, so that's the American Athletic Conference. All right. Then there's the ACC, and I believe the ACC. Oh Lord, is it Jim? Anyways, there's the ACC. There's the Big 12. There's the Big 10. There's the Mountain West. There's two women. Okay, two women that are the commissioners, in out of the 10 conferences, pending that the Pac-12 comes back because they got new teams and whatnot. All right. There is one Spanish lady, I think. There's Judy, and then there's Judy, and then there's another lady. Okay. So then you got the Mountain West, you got the anyways, there are 10 conferences. I gotta look at my notes, but anyways. The landscape is changing. So what does it? Why wouldn't the people that have money, and if you were the commissioner or you were the people that have money, what is stopping you from just saying, well, look at it? It's obvious. Every single time there's a championship week, the championship months, you see SEC, you see Big Ten. And anybody out there, please tell me otherwise. SEC, Big Ten. SEC, Big Ten. The other teams are just consolation teams. We're just there. Big 12, the Big 12, the ACC. You know what I'm saying? Like Miami gets off to a big start because they had Cam Ward to win a whole lot of games, and all of a sudden, when you get to that week, when you get to was it November or December? October, November, and then everything starts to fade off, and everything kind of starts to go in a way where you're like, okay, now we're starting to see what's really real. But once you remove the the Power Four, right? You got the Power Four. Within the Power Four structure, ACC. Let me see if I can put it in order of suck to the greatest. And y'all can don't hurt me on this one. The suckiest to the best. ACC, Big 12. I know you're not gonna like this one. Big 10, even though I understand they just won the Natty, and it seems like in the last 2 years they've been winning, but it's still Big 10. And then you get SEC being the best. All right. Like, tell me if you don't like that order. But if you don't like that order, what is your argument? Your argument has to make sense. All right. I don't care how many championships the Big Ten wins. I don't care that. I don't think, in all intents purposes of arguments, that you would say that the SEC is no longer the conference. The argument would never work for at least another 20 years, right? Because most of the dominant players, they want to go SEC. And then it's like, okay, the Big Ten is doing their thing, so you will get 4 and 5 stars going there, and they're always gonna put up a good product. And obviously, the Big 12 is next, I think, in my argument, right? But I think, and then the ACC, and hopefully maybe the Pac-12 comes back, but the Pac-12 comes back and start getting a bunch of a group of it's a group of five players, and JUCO players. I don't know that it ever gets to the prominent level of the other conferences. I don't know. Even though when it was hot because you had a bunch of teams that was like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe the Pac-12 got all these teams and it's not better than the SEC. So what is it going to take? What the argument of let's make a super conference, right? Big 10, SEC, or SEC, Big 10. Let them go over there and let them duke it out. Let the rest of us have a chance to, come up with ourselves. There's an argument out there where I think it was my Big 12 guy, where he was saying, look, Oklahoma should come back to the Big 12. Because if they come back to the Big 12, they're not going to be going 6. They're not going to win 6 games in the SEC. They're now going to probably, win 11 games, right? 10 or 11 games in the Big 12. Come back to the Big 12 and dominate the Big 12. That way you can at least make the playoffs every year. I don't know if that argument is, is going to play out pending that every other team is trying to really, if you've been paying any attention, I don't know what's happening in Texas, but that Texas Tech, mark my words, okay? Mark my words. Texas Tech this year is going to look like an SEC team. I'm telling you, they're doing something over there. And then West Virginia is beasting out too. But I don't want to get too far off topic. Super Conference. I believe it's going to happen. The Super Conference is happening. All right? Super Conference is coming and it's happening. Whether we want it or not, whether it's going to totally destroy the sport, but I think it's coming. Now, what are the logistics, or what are the craziness, or what happens if we get Super Conference? How would they work this out? If you do Super Conference, now it's like almost like, okay, you got the SEC and you got the Big Ten, and they're duking it out every year. What happens to the rest of the conferences, and how would they logistically line up the playoffs? Would the SEC and the Super Conference, would they then have their own playoffs? Would it then be just the national? Would we just pick the the two national playoff teams from that, and then everybody else go back into obscurity like it used to be? How would that work? I'm interested in understanding like what I haven't really like learned everything about what a super conference would entail, but logistically, I don't know how that works because now, if you looked at this whole postseason that we just went through, right, where you had Boise State being ranked at where they were ranked, and you're like, wait a minute, come on, like, why is Boise State where they're sitting at right now? This whole thing just gets so convoluted. You don't even know what to make of it because you know that the competition, when they start playing, there's not going to be an Ashton Genty. It ain't going to be no Ashton Genty because what happened when they played? He disappeared, and that's what's going to happen. You think he's obviously going to be drafted high because he's a great player, but if you look at the people that are around him and you put him against an SEC team or a Big Ten team, he disappears because you think a coach ain't going to prepare for him? That's the only person they got. So what you going to do? All right, hey, Johnny, you get him, shut him down. That's it. I mean, like, come on. You know what I'm saying? And look, we're going to play a 4-3 or a 4-4. And look, we're going to put one guy in the slot, okay? And we're just going to watch him. Anytime, listen, slot guy. Anytime he jumps and he tries to do one of those little Barry Sanders moves, just knock him off his foot, okay? That's exactly what happened. Like, we ain't got no time for this, okay? I mean, I know I'm simplifying it and I'm joking about it, but come on now, like, he disappears. So if we rewind it all the way back to the beginning of this conversation when I was talking about the preseason games, the spring games, if you play some of these teams, if we start to see more teams have co and joint practices, us as the fans, we are the one that's going to win. I don't know if the teams themselves are going to gain much from it because one argument that was being made by On3 was that you want your guys to get as much reps as possible, right? Because if your defense is out there, they're getting as much reps as they need. So yeah, the rep counts changes because you're playing another team. So I get it, I understand it, right? But at the end of the day, if you're playing another team, what does that really do for you? That's a question that I need to answer. Like, what exactly happens, or what are you gaining from this? From the NFL perspective, I always wonder, like, I guess this is going to debunk my own argument because if you're playing a team that you possibly never going to play again, then at the end of the day, right, what did you really learn? And how are you going to apply that? You're going to apply to it. I think my argument was from a fan's perspective. I didn't really think about it all the way out because if the NFL, like, if you play another team, like, you may get an opportunity to play this team sometime down the road. But if a Colorado's Big 12 is playing SEC, Georgia, you know what I'm saying, or Alabama or LSU, then I don't know if at the end of the day you see that whatever we learn from them, we're able to either apply to another team or at least we're able to stop them if we play them again in the season, maybe with the hopes of meeting them in the playoff and that happening. Yeah, I didn't really think it. I didn't think it all the way through. I get it. I understand. But I think from a fan's perspective, it makes it fun because you would never see a Colorado Big 12 versus a SEC Georgia in many scenarios. It's fun to see it because, man, like, if you think about it, like, you think about all the top teams and you're like, oh, man, Georgia, Alabama, LSU, and all these big teams, Ohio State. And when you think about it, you're never really going to see these teams. So if we get to see it, that benefits us. Does it really benefit the other teams? Excuse me. So I guess in a way that they can benefit the other teams or the teams themselves that are playing those You get to see different formations that you may not have be able to see. Maybe the coordinators, like when you play when you play these elite teams, the way that they make their calls or the way that they call the games, it may benefit you from a strategic standpoint because coordinators going against each other benefits each other because they're like, oh, so when we had this scenario, he called this because this slot guy was actually going to be able to step up and be able to stop this guy. So that's something, if you saw the Sean Livingston interview, which I'm going to do a reaction video to, he alludes to this. He was like, I kept making phone calls. I kept making calls, and I was like, why do I keep making this call? Obviously, when he, in hindsight, when he starts to watch his tape, he's like, yo, I kept making calls. So the benefit will come where you get to see elite coordinators making in-game changes that may change your mind frame. I think that's a true benefit to us as fans, but to also to the teams, because different coordinators are going to do different things during the season. So early onset, you get to see before everything starts, you get to call against another coordinator, and that's always a benefit for somebody who's thinking like, okay, what do I need to do? What exactly, after you've done everything that you could do as far as like planning for your season, then what you need to set up for is to try it against an elite defense or try that against an elite offense. And if you're comfortable in some of the things that you do, if they worked, then at least you can either make adjustments based on that, or you can say, well, yes, thank God, at least I'm on the right track. But you're not gonna know if you're just calling against, like, what I'm saying, what you do in your practices every day. Because I mean, you do this so much. Coordinators are calling plays so much, and they're just doing this like it becomes such a norm, and you don't really get to really put that into practice because you're just like, look, this is practice. We're practicing, so I'm not doing much calls. I'm not making much adjustments in game because you don't have the elite. you don't have the elite coordinators that you're calling that against. So that could be a benefit. All right, let me go to the chat real quick. Shanti Mom says, a while back, with the junior college students now able to still have 4 years of college football eligibility, you could have 17-year-olds facing 23-year-old. Yeah, that's another thing. You know what I'm saying? Because now you can play 2 years of junior college, and then when you go to the Power 4 or you upgrade to the FBS, now those 2 years can be erased, and you can have 2 more years. And we've discussed that on the show before. So that's a strategy that a lot of players, if you don't get, if you don't get recruited at a high rate, or you may be on a team that is just not giving you the time, hey, JUCO is definitely a route that you can go. Go to JUCO, sharpen your skills, play out there, ball out, and then put that on tape. Power 4 will start looking at you. FBS will start looking at you, and then you can come back and you get those years erased. So that's a strategy. Raymond Tucker Jr. What up, Ray? Disturbing opinion. I like it, and it's exactly what Prime is up to. Yeah, man. I want this to happen on so many different levels, regardless of I guess what's the negative aspects of what may happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think the only thing that we can think about is that you get your plays exposed, right? And good coordinators always want an advantage. So if you can see some of these plays, you watch the tape. I think Coach Prime and his teams are always giving it away anyway, right? Because you're seeing well off, right? Or any other things that are around him, you're seeing them play. So he's already giving it away, which some of us have always been talking about, like, I don't know if we should do this. I don't know if we should keep giving these plays away because they're literally watching our practices, and they can just make adjustments. Like, hey, look, we seen them. So anyway, they were able to be successful in 2024. So I'm not suggesting that they change that, but maybe just show some of the plays that show the play already in motion. Don't show them calling the plays, right? But anyway, so yeah. So whether it's exposing your plays too early or player injury, I don't know that except when you have bad weather or it's raining or snowing or whatever is happening during that time. I don't know that injury is such a big deal because it's been happening for so long, right? Players can get injured at practice. So this is just another practice. So the argument of injury or, players getting injured, I think that argument just kind of like it's mute because you got to go game speed at a certain point in practice because you can't practice. Like you got to practice the way that you play. That's what you hear coaches saying all the time. Practice the way that you're going to play so that when you get to the game, your muscle memory, everything is already there. So if you're going game speed at practice, you can get hurt. There's a chance of potential injury. So having a spring game, that argument is not that strong because practice, you can get hurt at practice. So I know Matt Rule and whatever they're thinking, and those the ones that are actually against the spring game, you're gonna have to figure that out because the only argument that I can see with y'all having is the fact that your plays can be exposed. So finally, let me close this out. College football is changing. All right, there's a lot of changes that are going on. Rules and regulations are going to be coming down. I know that the conferences, there's going to be a lot of conference realignments that are coming down the pipeline. Excuse me. So what does this mean for the regular college football fan? Do you even recognize the sport that you fell in love with anymore? Is there a point where you just have you lost faith in your sport? Are you gravitating to either other sports or the NFL? I like some of these questions to be answered. Like we can answer, we can talk about some of this in the chat or in the comments if you're watching this after the broadcast. But yeah, do you even recognize college football anymore? There's a lot of changes. Do you recognize your own team? How many players or how many new players have come into the fold? The NIL and the transfer portal thing is becoming it's becoming a quarterback safe haven. Something happens within that locker room during the season because this is the one thing that I don't understand. Something happens in that locker room, and after the season is over, if your team is not going to the playoffs, I see elite quarterbacks jumping into the transfer portal, almost right away. So the question is, what is happening in the locker room, and why are these elite quarterbacks jumping right away? What's that about? I need to know, why elite quarterbacks are jumping right away. Because at the end of the day, your quarterback is your leader. So when the transfer portal opens up, boom, quarterback's gone. So every team is getting a new quarterback almost every year. Wait a minute. What? The quarterbacks are just hoppity, skippity. They're hoppity, skippity all over the place, and you can't recognize your team. So at the end of the day, did your team get a new quarterback? Are your running backs still intact? Is your running back room still intact? One thing that I realized is that the offensive lines, for the most part, they stay put. So I got a question for your Colorado fans. Do you think Colorado did enough in the offseason for that offensive line and that defensive line for them to be absolutely competitive? Operative word. Absolutely. All right. Let's make sure that Colorado is absolutely competitive. Not just, we're gonna be good enough to win 4 or 5 games. I'm talking about you're gonna be in the mix because if y'all don't remember, Colorado was tied for first with 4 teams. All right? That do not let that go over your head. Colorado tied this, like in 2024, Colorado tied for 4th place. I mean, not for 4th place, for 1st place with 4 teams. Now, if after you break it down, Colorado was number 4 or not, no. But you can technically say that Colorado in 2024 was number one. Number one. If you're talking about Colorado, Colorado was number 1 in the Big 12. As weird as that sounds in your head or in your ears, Colorado was number 1 in the Big 12 in 2024. All right, so but we're seeing new teams now. Did Colorado do enough? If all O-lines don't move too much, and you can't really get top O-lines to move or guys to move, then at the end of the day, did Colorado do enough? That's the question. Did Colorado do enough to move the line, to move the needle on the offensive line? Juju Lewis is he's shining bright in practices. Cannon Salter is doing his thing. So the battle is still on. We're gonna see who's. I mean, I know that Cannon Salter is taking he's taking a lot of reps on the first team, but we don't know yet. They haven't really told us who's who yet. So we're gonna figure that out. How is your team doing? I'll be bringing videos for your team in the Big 12. If you are a Big 12 a Big 12 fan, then look out for videos for that. But I want to leave it right there, guys. I want to leave it right there. I've been scouring the Big 12, scouring college football. I'm trying to find the spots where I fit in, because college football is a vast landscape where a lot of content comes out. Regardless of how you look at it, Colorado is still the biggest draw in college football when it comes to online content, when it comes to YouTube content. So I would be crazy, right? Crazy to say I ain't doing Colorado content. Most of the Colorado content kind of falls around what is Dion doing nowadays, what's happening with Shador Sanders and da-da-da-da-da. But, the news is what kind of breaking news, or, hey, look, this was just happening with Colorado. People are still looking for that. But Colorado still, if you look around your internet, most college football content, especially in the offseason, does not get the same amount of views as Colorado football content. So that is that's like the safe place to go when it comes to that. But it doesn't mean that you can't build your platform with everything else, because there are fans that want to know what's happening with Alabama. People want to know what's happening with Michigan, with Indiana. Michigan State. People want to know that stuff. You may get like 200 or 300 views on that, but it's still content. You feel me? So look to me to provide you a lot of content for those. I'll figure it out. I got to know what percentage of Colorado content I bring you, because I'm not on the hype train. Bring you every breathing thing that Coach Promise is doing. He's releasing his new shoe. That's going to just get a post from me, a post in the community page. Me doing a whole video, having to edit and do all of that stuff. It's got to be something more substantive that Colorado's doing before I turn these cameras on, these lights on, to come on here and do a Colorado video. There's got to be more substance in it. So thank you for watching, guys. I appreciate it. I will see you on the next video. Peace out.